It's now time for Media Watch International. James Creedon joins me in the studio. Hello to you, James. We're starting with a media collaboration between 6 countries looking at Euroscepticism.
That's right. On the front page of The Guardian today, Rebecca, a questionnaire, how European do you feel? So it's a big collaboration between 6 papers across Europe, The Guardian, La Stampa, Le Monde, Süddeutsche Zeitung and others, with a total readership of some 1 million people, and looking at the big questions in Europe today, particularly at a time of crisis. So it actually came as a supplement with Le Monde during the week. Absolutely, actual printed paper. And so you have 6 different Europeans living in Paris and a few others, I suppose, as well. And with interviews with somebody with big luminaries such as Umberto Eco, and his ideas for where Europe will go from here at a point where European unity is really fragmenting because of the crisis. His idea, the European travel or study abroad programme Erasmus, extended beyond students to electricians, to taxi drivers, so that regular people as well as university students get a chance to live in other European countries, experience Europe in a broader sense. So let's take a look online. They also take a look at European stereotypes. For example, here you can see a certain stereotype of British people, I suppose. And this was a front page on Charlie Hebdo a few weeks ago, so it shows that the stereotype as viewed in Britain, or how foreigners view British, is actually pretty close to the reality. And
accurate.
The French also looking at the stereotypes about their being arrogant or good in bed, whether that is true or not. So it's actually a very interesting dossier dealing with very serious issues such as how the elderly are dealing with the crisis, how young people are dealing with the crisis, but also sort of more fun and frivolous stuff such as those stereotypes. And
was there a general consensus, though, on being part of Europe?
Well,
That's a positive thing?
Seems to be quite pro-Europe in its slant as a project, this collaboration across 6 different countries. So yeah, they seem to be in favour of the European project and are looking at why Euroscepticism is on the rise, with, of course, the crisis being the main reason.
Angela Merkel probably quite happy about all of that. Now Absolutely. We're moving to Twitter, which announced on Thursday that it's refined its technology to censor messages on a country-by-country basis. It used to be a global thing, didn't it? And there are now fears that the company's commitment to free speech might be ebbing away.
That's right. Let's take a look at the announcement on their blog. Twitter commits well, that's not the announcement. They wouldn't obviously.
They wouldn't admit to that themselves.
They wouldn't admit to it themselves. There is actually, in the announcement that they made on their own blog, not one mention of the word censorship. They speak about it obviously in much more positive terms.
Yeah.
That's right, on a country-by-country basis. But as I've given away already, many are saying that this is essentially social suicide. Indeed, many would say that one of the most positive stamps on Twitter's I suppose one of the most positive things about it is the way it's been used and instrumentalized for revolutions in the past year. It's been one of the most important tools in gathering people together, allowing them to coordinate and organize events. And indeed, if the restrictions that Twitter has now introduced on a country-by-country basis were to have existed a year ago, you could ask the question, would we have seen what happen in Tunisia, in Egypt, the Occupy movement, etc., etc.?
The idea is that Twitter can just wipe out a tweet in a particular country. So you can see it in all other countries. Say it was something about Russia, with the Russian elections coming up.
That's right. So
you could block that tweet in Russia.
Depending on the country's legislation. And we'll take a look at some of the reaction to that, Rebecca, online. Now, this is a pretty interesting counter perspective here on the TNW website. Twitter isn't censoring you. Your government is. So I suppose that would be very much the line that Twitter will roll out on this one, that there is a precedent on this. Google, for example, has had to adapt its rules to the Chinese market. You could say that Google is a search engine and a lot more now besides that, whereas Twitter is a microblogging website, so it's more, it's a more potent tool for those who want to engage in revolutionary activities, so therefore more dangerous in its restrictions. But you could say that there is a precedent there elsewhere. I look at a couple of the tweets. Merely a month after Saudi Prince Talal invested $300 million in Twitter, Twitter announces micro-censorship policy. So a lot of people actually drawing attention to the fact that there was this very large investment by a Saudi prince in the month of December in Twitter, and whether or not there's any link with that. What's next, says this person on Twitter, restricting us to tweeting only with people in our own countries. Where will harmless censorship end? And indeed, there have been calls for a Twitter blackout tomorrow.
I see Anonymous there at the top.
That's right. So a lot of interest in this move by Twitter, and a lot of people saying that it is a retrograde step. Twitter censored is another interesting hashtag to follow for people who want to read up on this on Twitter, of course.
Ironically.
Yes.
Many thanks to you, James Creedon, for bringing us the International Media Watch.